So in the second part of the interview, we're going to talk about the cosmetic sector, which has been always really important for women, but men are getting more recognition and understanding of the importance of cosmetic also of the sector and the products that it offers. So Ivan, we have talked about biotech and all the sectors and the areas it encompasses, and one of them is the cosmetic sector. So can you give us an overview of the cosmetic sector in Singapore?
Okay, so first of all, we can say, for example, the cosmetic sector, there are two types, no? We can say. So we have the finished products. So for example, you have the creams, the anti-aging products, and later you have the ingredients that they are in these creams. For example, we manufacture active ingredients for this cream, so we are not doing a finished product. So, for example, in terms of the finished product, the Singapore companies mostly are multinationals that they have, as I told you before, the R&D centers here, or they have the sales and marketing. So there are a few local companies that they also manufacture, or for example, there are some companies of fragrance that they have a division also of active ingredients. So more or less, this is the ecosystem in terms of finished goods, and later the companies of active ingredients, like is our case. So we usually have here people in sales and marketing to cover all the region. So I think it's important to say this type of difference between the finished goods and also the active ingredients.
Yes, it's really important because I think we're not aware of this kind of division within the sector. So we have talked about understanding the sector, but are the main trends in Europe and Asia, are they the same, they're different?
Well, I think, Asia is also very big, you know, so between the Asia Pacific, for example, between the Korean, Chinese, Japanese, so this Asia and Australia, you can find a difference, no? But for example, one common that we are having the last 2 years, for example, is that they want fast results. So we have the ingredients with clinical studies. So when you apply and you do the clinical study, some of the results are very fast. For example, in 30 minutes or in 1 hour. So customers from Korea or from Japan or China, they are very interested in these results. For example, last week I met with a consultant here in Singapore, and he has several projects, and he was mostly interested in the products with fast results, with 30 minutes or 1 hour. Another, I think, a trend that they have is obviously the natural. So in the case the formulators want to formulate with natural ingredients, they want also to connect with the story of the ingredients. For example, we have several marine ingredients, and some of them they are bacterial ferments, and the origin of the microorganism is for example, in the Balearic Island. So they are very interested in the origin. One is in one cave that it was not discovered. So when we have the trade agreement with them, they want more and more information about the cave, you know, this kind of thing. So they want a connection between the efficacy of the ingredient with the marketing story or the origin of the ingredient. So this one, I think they are very interested. And also the last years in some countries, there are indie brands. So they are sometimes companies, for example, influencers or celebrities start a company of skincare, and they are very fast, you know, and sometimes they want claims very innovative, or they want some impact, you know. So I think these indie brands, they are growing in the region.
Yes, so we see as we see in other sectors that we want to really understand the product, its origin and its benefits, but we also want quick results. We live in such an ecosystem that we want everything is really fast paced, as well as the results for cosmetics. So Ivan, you mentioned in the first video that your main focus it's Europe and Spain. So you're familiar with the Spanish customer and the European one. But when a Spanish cosmetic company wants to move to Asia and start selling in this Asian market, do they need to adapt its products to fit the Asian skin?
Well, you know, the skincare products can be very different. You have from anti-aging, you know, products that, but also, for example, in Asia is very important, everything related to the whitening or brightening, no? So obviously you need to adapt. In case, for example, you have clinical studies, we have some products that the clinical studies were in Asian volunteers. Sometimes you need to clarify the volunteers if they are Caucasian or they are Asian. So for example, we have 2-3 ingredients where the volunteers is a panel of volunteers in China. So it was for dark spots. So in Beijing was this panel of volunteers. So also the pollution is important because in some big cities, metropolis also here in Asia. So I think the whitening is important here in Asia Pacific, but at the end, the anti-aging products I think is one of the main focus. No, so I think there are differences, but the cells, everything is the same.
So you have talked about whitening and brightening for the Asian consumer. So are those the main concerns from the Asian consumer, and what are the main concerns that a European client has?
Okay, so Clara, I think here the most important at the end is the efficacy of the ingredient, how it works, what's the problem that is solving. No? So for example, all our ingredients, we have clinical studies, so you prove the efficacy of the ingredient, for example, reduction of wrinkles, so we can see also the efficacy in different timings. So I told you before that some of them, they have very fast efficacy in only 1 hour, and later you prove in 1 week, in 2 weeks, so at the end of the study in 4 weeks. No? So first is the efficacy, later, as I told you also, it's important for some of them the origin of the ingredient, because some of them they want a natural. For example, in the case of the marine ingredients, so they want to connect with the story. One of the last ingredients we launched, for example, the microorganism was obtained in the island of Tonga in the Polynesia. So this was a marine ingredient to reduce the stress, so they were connecting also with the marketing story related to the well-being. So at the end, I think the industry first want the efficacy, to prove with the results in the clinical trials, and later they want to connect with the marketing story, with the origin of ingredient, etc.
Wow, such interesting concepts. And I want to bring to table two more, so sustainability and innovation.
Yes.
Which we have talked in the biotech video, that is also something that is transversal for the sectors and it's a concern nowadays. So in which way sustainability and innovation plays a role in the cosmetic sector?
Well, I think both are basic, now for the companies. In the case of the ingredients, as I told you, for example, sustainability is involved, with the origin of the ingredients, also with the management of the different process. In the case of innovation, is the DNA of the companies. Most part of the biotech companies, at the end, you are selling science, no? So I think innovation, the R&D is very important. To launch products here every year is very important. So in our case, we launch twice a year. We launch in global in cosmetics in Europe, and later in cosmetic Asia, that it will be in 2 weeks in Bangkok. So obviously the customers, they want to know what is new. So your R&D need to be very strong, because it's not so easy to develop products every year. So usually in our case, we have a strong R&D team, and we have a pipeline, so we have projects for the next year. So I think this is very important, And also we have 4 different platforms, technological platforms. So sometimes one target you can approach with different technologies. For example, you can approach with botanical, you can approach with a peptide, we can approach with a protein, or you can approach with a marine ingredient. So sometimes one R&D person or one formulator want one technology or another one.
Wow, so Iván, just to conclude this interview, with such a strong R&D that it's within the sector and innovation happening, and you have this pipeline for many years to come.
Yes.
How do you envision the future of the cosmetic sector?
Well, I think in our case, I think globally is very positive, In the case of Asia, obviously we have the last years the COVID, some countries like, for example, China is closed, so we cannot travel for different exhibitions. I think, for example, here markets like Korea is very important. For example, now with the K-wave, because there are movies, there are songs, etc. is becoming very popular, So I think Korean market is one of the main markets globally, and also many Western companies, they are adapting trends that they start in Korea.
Wow. So really interesting. We see how the globalization is affecting the sector, the innovation. So we see great things happening in the future, thanks to companies like yourself that combines these kind of innovative products and peptides to really change all of our skins, both men and women. So thank you so much, Iván, for coming, and thank you for giving us this overview of the cosmetic sector. Thank you very much for coming. And see you next week with more content.